Hey everybody, this is Phil John. Welcome to another episode of Phil John's VIP. Thank you for joining me again on this Saturday. A little bit earlier today because I just wanted to make sure that I got this guest on as soon as I could possibly. This is going to be a special guest, trust me. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience knowing her and working with her. And for those who don't know, this is one of my favorite people in the business. She is no nonsense. She is tell it like it is. So I'm not responsible for what. I don't have a bleep button, so I'm not responsible for what may come out of her mouth. But it's all going to be good. It's all going to be love, and it's all going to be enlightening. So let me introduce to you, without further ado, Miss Brette Goldstein. Here she comes. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Is this it? Brette Goldstein.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
How are you? So good to see you. So good.
Yay!
Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to join me. I think you're probably one of my favorite people in the business for many reasons, but for one, you've always been honest, but with an open heart.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's like tell it like it is, but always just encouraging. And at the end of it all, you really want to see actors win.
That's right.
So I want to say I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for giving me the opportunity just to celebrate you in so many ways, in ways that I don't think that you even know. So I want to first start off by asking you to tell us just a little bit about who you are and where it all began for you, not just in casting, because I know that took a journey, but where did it all begin, the love and passion for the arts?
Oh, good question. I mean, I guess both my parents were musicians. My dad, they met at, well, they actually weirdly met at like one of those, music camp things, like Interlochen or something like that. And then oh, this is actually a good story. My dad, I guess if you play anything other than piano, back in the day, you had to take basic piano in order to get out of Juilliard. You had to like take that to grad requirement. And he walks in for his piano lesson to get out of Juilliard, and he was like, "Holy shit!" And it was the girl that he had dated when he was 15, which was my mother. I mean, that didn't end well, but like anyway. They made me and my fabulous sister, so that's good. So yeah, so they're both musicians, and I guess I was, so I was kind of raised in it. And I mean, I played the oboe for years. Jesus Christ. I mean, that was a shit show. But I don't know. I guess I did the acting thing for a little while, never professionally, but I always knew that I loved actors and I wanted to be around actors for sure. So I'm really happy that I found casting back in the 90s. Yeah, that was good.
You actually are native to the DMV area, right? The Maryland, DC.
Yeah, born in Jersey, but moved to Maryland at the age of, I guess, 7 actually, and was raised there and went to University of Maryland, and yeah, always felt a little weird there because my family was all kind of New York Jews, and I was always like, this is, I don't know, and then I moved to New York in 2000.
This is like you said, Maryland. This is different. I'm telling you. So when you got into casting, like what was the attraction? What was the passion for you moving into that part of the industry?
I think, well, I knew I didn't want to be a director, or like I when I was at University of Maryland, I didn't feel like I knew what I was supposed to be doing with my time there, and like we didn't really have the internet or anything. I mean, we did, but we didn't. And like I remember I would go to the computer lab and be like, dork, dork, dork. Like I was I was like, oh yeah, email is for dorks. I'm gonna send out one email a week to my friend Heather, and that was anyway. So, and we were right next to DC, but weirdly I mean, this is actually how I got into casting. It's kind of a good story. Basically, like we were right next to DC, which had a thriving theater scene. which I didn't really know about or dabble in at all, even though we were right there because I was probably too busy smoking weed and drinking beer. And I remember one time I happened to go to my costume history class, which I happened to need in order to graduate. And my friend Phaedra turned around and looked at me, and she basically said that I was a waste of a big Jewish brain. And I was like, fair enough, that is true. And she's like, yeah, you're pretty much worthless. True. And she said, I have an idea. Source Theater Company has an internship program. You should go there and do something with your life and figure out what it is that you want to do. Okay, so I did that, and I was very unhappy because it was the Washington Theater Festival. We were producing 100 plays in the month of August in sweltering DC, which is bullshit because
Right.
it was just, and I remember seeing this middle-aged lady sitting in the office, and the back of her neck, she basically, I could see her hair blowing, and I was like, oh, that bitch is right under an air conditioning vent. And she was shoveling Chinese food in her face, and then hot people would come down the hall and bestow gifts upon her and alcohol, and then giggle with her for a while, then walk down the hall again. And I was like, oh my God, the beautiful people and the alcohol and the food, and then not getting up except to pee, and the phone all day long, and the Chinese food and the air conditioning. What is she? And so they said, she's the casting director, leave her alone. That has nothing to do with your internship. She's casting the next season. And I was basically like a fucking monster until they gave me one day with her. One day. And at the end of that day, and this was probably not long after Single White Female was released, so I'm sure it scared the living shit out of her, given there was a concrete set of stairs that went up to the administrative offices. I looked at her and I was like, I'm going to have your job in 6 months. Because, we were cocky in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I got her job in 6 months, not because I killed her, but because she got a full-time job teaching at Georgetown, where I think she still is. And I got her job. And of course, I was a child. And they were basically like, right, so that budget thing, that line item, we're going to pay you this much. And I waited tables at 2 restaurants and did that full time. And so I got a really good break in regional theater at a very young age, which was nice.
And you have this, one thing I love about you, I feel like, at least I think what I call the Brette Goldstein system is that I noticed that a lot of times Brette will give you a call, or she'll call you in for something, and then you read the script and you're like, what does this got to do with me? And I feel like you always kind of, there's a wild card where you always bring in somebody against type.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, why the fuck not, right? Yeah. That's interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah, that said,
you did it for me.
Huh.
For the Off the Clock with Intel.
You're right.
And they wasn't looking for someone like me. And then I come in and I actually end up booking.
Yeah. No, you're right. I kind of do that, right? Yeah.
I call it that's like a signature Brette Goldstein casting thing for me. I'm like, I said she will call you in against type, and it's up to you to take that sucker and run with it. Definitely.
Or pass. I don't give a shit. You don't want it, it's fine with me. I don't care. Fuck it. But yeah, no, I guess I don't know. I just, I'll tell you what it is. Talk about DC. The only theater that had money for names was the Shakespeare Theater. They were big fans of Kelly McGillis. They were just all over Kelly McGillis back in the 90s. Jesus, Harry Hamlin, weird. Anyway, it's just so funny thinking about that. But we couldn't get those people, right? In any of the theaters I worked at, the Folger, Source, or whatever. So anyway, watch Woolly Mammoth. So because of that, you were considered a good casting director if you brought fresh faces onto the scene. If it wasn't just all the usual suspects, because it wasn't New York or LA, it was a tighter community. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's so important to me to bring in unrepresented actors to projects, a ton of them, because I just feel why can't some 19-year-old, sophomore in college PA do my job. They can be like,
Right.
oh, these are the top 5 agencies, click, 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 click. And so in addition to like more unique choices, I like the idea of like, oh, I would have never found this person without this casting director. And that, because those are my formative years. And that just
Right.
means something to me, because I think if you're always calling in the usual suspects, like it could be you or anybody else, fuck
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a special story that I wanted to share with you, and I've talked about it, but I don't think I've ever shared it with you. Brett had called me in for a project that I really didn't know too much about, but when Brette Goldstein calls, you just go. That's just how it is. So I was Intel was casting a web series called Off the Clock, and that's where I had met my good friend Jared Seltzer, who I had on last season. And I remember being home and I was taking care of my grandmother. And at that time, I did not have home aid at the time to come get her. So I remember having someone, like a neighbor, come over, watch her, run to the city, go to the audition. And afterwards, I came right back, right? So I'm literally like running into the city and running back out. I get a call back. And I'm like,
Oh
shit,
my God.
I have no money. Like, okay, fine. I got a Metro card. I'm going to go to the city. And I'm going to do this again, right? This time, there wasn't that many people there. It was a small group of people. So I go in, and Jared is there, and I think there's a few people there. There's someone on the screen, and I literally am going in, and I remember going into the city saying, I have $5. And by that during that time, you can go to Subway and get a $5 footlong, right? I go in, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to this callback, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to have a $5 footlong because I know that's all I can afford to eat. That's all I'm going to do, right? So I go in, and I do my thing with the first group. I come out. Brett says, you mind holding back for a minute? Do you want to, can you stay around for a little while? And I'm like, in myself, but to you, I'm like, sure. But in myself, I'm like, I got somebody watching my grandmother. I got $5 for a sandwich, and I got to head back to Queens. Couple of minutes after that, you walk out, and you're smiling at me, and you have $40 in your hand, and you say to me, this is from the producers. Go have lunch and be back by 2:00.
What? Really?
Yes, Brett, I'm telling you, I will never forget this story. But now I said, okay, so now I'm on 9th Avenue because it was and I'm like, where do I go? Where do I go? I have money. I'm thinking about sitting down in a restaurant. I'm ordering a beer, like, because now I have this money. When I got back to Actors Connection and came up, there was Thomas Wesson, there was Brian Miskell, and my girl, Christina Kath. And it was like, this is the cast. And we worked together for 2 years after that.
Oh my God. By the way, I don't remember that, but I can only imagine, like, I know myself well enough to know that they were probably like, can you see if Phil can stay for, and I was probably like, roar! And like, I know myself, and I probably screamed at them. I was like, you got to give him money for lunch then. Because like, that was, I'm not saying that they wouldn't necessarily offer that. They might have, but
Right.
like, I can also see me like having a meltdown at like
Right.
out of guilt. Yeah. So,
But you have no idea how much that moment meant to me. No idea.
oh my God. Oh my
Because of everything
God.
that was happening
And
in my life at
$40
that
was
time.
like $40 at that
Yeah.
point. No Subway for you, motherfucker. Holy shit, that's great.
Yeah. Truly. And that, here I am now. I have relationships with all these people. When Jared did the pilot, I did his pilot 10-1. And he has, and I always say this about Jared because I love him so much, is that like he's been a pivotal part of my commercial career. There's most of the things that he touches that I'm good for is just a phone call.
That's great. That's great. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's so cool. That's so cool. And I just saw, I'm kind of terrible at looking at Instagram pretty much in general, but I just saw I didn't know the news about Brian Miskell. I need to text him.
Yeah,
Fucking great.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Brian is such a stellar actor, right? And I remember you saying that you saw him in a play, and you thought he was just stellar. And he came aboard the team, man, and it was just, we have good stories from those 2 years on Off the Clock.
That's
Great
so
story.
cool. That's so cool. Oh my God, that makes me so happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Which is why you are one of the casting people who I trust. Like when I say trust you in a way where I trust your judgment. So if you say come, I'm coming, because I know So I trust you with your guidance, having me in your hands. I'm like, okay, all I got to do is follow through and nail it.
Thank you. But seriously though, feel free to, if ever you're like, this doesn't feel right, like if you're not feeling it, I am fine with that. Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. This is amazing. I didn't know any of these things. This is great.
Yes. And I'm quite sure I've told the story a number of times, but I've never said it to you.
Wow.
So I wanted to share that with you, because it's like we work and you kind of do your own thing, and you get kind of just, and you never know who you touch. You never know the small, what you could say something. The thing is, it could be a gesture, whose life you changed or made better in that moment.
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
So to that, I thank you.
Wow.
Sure.
Wow. Thank you. Yay. Oh my God. I'm so happy.
So let me ask you this. What is it about your job that you could say, man, this is kind of the hardest part of the job? Like, this is like, if I didn't have to do this.
Well, I got to tell you. And I'm in therapy about it. So like, but this will be ongoing therapy for as long as I do this. I get really, okay. It's interesting. I took this class about a year ago in archetypes because I'm really fascinated by them. And when I coach, I talk about them a lot. And I feel like that's how we're all interconnected, like in terms of just who we are as humans, and also on a storytelling level, right? And so I took I took I took a quiz. It's like a like a hardcore, more expensive BuzzFeed quiz. It was basically like, what are your archetypes? And my three were the hero, the jester, and the caregiver. Well, the hero, there is a very dark side of the hero, and part of this, and I was like, holy shit, that's it. Is you will basically find a fucking dragon to slay, even if there isn't one, and even if no one asked you to slay the dragon. Like, you'll find the dragon and you will slay it, whatever. And that happens with me and producers, where because they're my bosses, I'm just like, But really what happens is I will find, like, for the minute I will find all of the injustices towards actors. And I will, as if I'm everyone's agent or manager, like, stand in front of them. Meanwhile, no one has any idea what's going on because I haven't even called anyone in yet. There's no offers being made. Like, this is in the beginning. This is like when I get the project information and the breakdown, and I'm like, roar! Like, again, it's like, that's why I'm saying the lunch money probably was me having a freak out, probably in a passive aggressive, through gritted teeth, like, you gonna pay for his lunch, god damn it. Like, I'm sure I was a big dick, like, and that's the problem, and like, my sister was always like, well, don't bite the hand that feeds. But like, I do feel like I don't know why, but I do feel like that, like, actors that are names can be like, suck it, fuck you. But
Right.
actors that are not names are like, okay. And the amount, and I feel like with the more content we have, the more everyone's like, we have no money. Like even
Yeah.
Netflix, there's no
Yeah.
money here. And everyone's getting fucked over, and I don't like it. So the hardest part of my job is really managing my anger, because the older I get, the more it's like Michael Raymond at Buckwald got me on the phone one day because I was losing my shit about an injustice towards actors. And he was like,
Right.
you're going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Seriously. I'm
Right.
not being hyperbolic. You're going to have a fucking heart attack, Brett. And for what? Because you're angry that like actors are going to get paid a little less or something? Like, you got to calm down. And he's right. So that's the hardest part of my job, is
Yeah.
the bullshit, because it's never from the actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not in my experience. You
Yeah.
guys are great.
Because I think that a lot of us don't have the or don't feel like we have the muscle to even comment on those things. You
I
understand?
know.
It's like in the back of your head, like you should be, you're worth more, you're going to be giving more, but it's like I don't want to rattle. I want to rattle the box.
Understandable. I mean, I just got a really big film, and I'm really excited because I'll be working with like one of the producers is like my favorite showrunner,
Mm-hmm.
and then another, like the production, everything seems great so far, and I'm so happy to be in this world, and like hopefully it stays that way, and I just feel like more of this, more of this. But it is crazy how like even with producers who I later like worked for a bunch or became friends with, like there's always this like, I don't know, it really is just like, even if they mean really, really well, there always just seems to be some, not always, but a lot, and you know better than I do even,
Right.
there's this thing of like, well, honey, you should be paying us.
Yeah.
This is your dream.
Without saying it, it's an air, you know. Yeah.
I don't like it.
And you kind of get into this thing where like, at what point can I fight and it not backfire on me?
Right.
Right. And only people at a certain level can actually fight or maybe just say, no, I don't want to do it. And they'll give them a better offer, you know. And
It's so fucked up.
it's a lot of things that people who are now entering the industry don't really have insight in until they get in. Like, there's a lot of things that you don't know until you get in, and then when you get in, you realize that it's not all, lights, camera, action. This is a business that we're in, and you have to pay rent and eat. So
right.
You want to do what's right by you. Do you ever get into a bidding war with other casting directors for a project?
I don't know, actually, because I feel like I don't know. Because sometimes, like if they're like, what if they'll check my availability, or I'll have a conversation with a production company or a director or something like that, and they end up going another way. I'm not sure if it's a money issue or I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess if there's a bidding war type thing, I'm not necessarily aware of it.
So you're just connecting with your contacts, with the people you have the relationships with.
Yeah, or like if it's a new person, then sometimes I don't know what. And yeah, I don't know if there ever it would be well, I went with this office because they're cheaper or something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. And even recently, there was I've been doing more corporate coaching, presentation coaching, and there was this one big company that went with another coach, and I was like, oh, I wonder why that happened. Like, because I thought that the meeting went so well, and it could be that person has a ton more experience, but it also could be that their rate was completely different than mine. I have no idea.
Right.
But then it's a little weird because you don't want to go back and be like, was that a bidding
right,
or like,
right.
yeah.
I always wondered that, because I know that, like, anytime there's like a variety of different choices, that people always say, well, what's the budget? Or some people just go with the person that they trust and have the relationship with. At what point did you segue from casting into coaching, career coaching? Because I know it's just not acting coaching, but it's just career coaching, whether it's corporate, artistic, or otherwise.
You know, I got to tell you, the most fun I've been having with coaching has been self-tape coaching and doing that in real time. All of a sudden I was like, well, holy shit, this is great. Like, weirdly, I'm enjoying that. Well, that's not weird. It makes perfect sense. I'm enjoying that the most because it also feels like being back in the room again. So that's been fun. And I was doing a lot of marketing coaching in the early 2000s, and I don't really remember why I stepped away from it because I really enjoyed it, and I've been doing more of that stuff recently, and I like it. I like it most of the time, except when I get frustrated and you saw like, and that's not the actor. That's always just like that's frustration with the way
Because
things are.
you're a protector by nature. You love to protect, and that sometimes can get frustrating, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is a really, really tough business, and I feel like that actors often get taken for granted, and that it's like people don't remember that they wouldn't have a thing if it weren't for you guys. Like it wouldn't have like it's all about the actors, and they should be celebrated and paid well, and they should not have to work a bunch of survival jobs in order to do this because it's also a job. And fuck you is what I have to say, not you.
No. I get it. I get it. And the crazy part about it is that you start to look at the budgeting, like the stuff that's public, and you're like, wait a minute, this brought in how much money? And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, you know. Again, that feeling again with most of us actors that like, okay, we don't want to rattle the fence. We want to leave people with a great experience of who we are. We don't want to be too pushy. It's kind of like what like Monique. I've heard a lot of stuff that she's been going through with like you know with different people in the industry and being paid, like even with women just being paid fairly in the industry. um it's tough and it's scary, Brett. Believe it or not, it's really scary because you know for those of us that have been in the business for a while, we see and we understand that there's a dark side, and we don't want to deal with that part of it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's weird. Like with the cat, it's interesting because in the entire time I've been working, things are not getting better with me being paid. Like in all those years, like I've been doing this for 25 years, and it's not getting better. In fact, when I think about what Charles Rosen was charging like for commercial casting for his day rate, I remember because it was on the wall, and I just remember looking at it and being like, oh my god, that's so much money. And like I charge less than that now because they're like they're and like I remember talking to Barry Shapiro about it, where he's like, oh my god, we got paid way more in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like everybody's there like no money. And yeah, that's, I guess,
You're like,
I don't
what?
know, yeah, not fun. But the
So
good news is that, like, Jesus, I mean, like, you remember, like, New York is a different world now, because when I moved to New York, there were four soap operas and maybe a Law and Order, and like, I would never have imagined that it would be a TV town. Like, that's crazy, and it's amazing. So it's wonderful and also, I would have never dreamed of a world where actors could create their own content without being like trust fund babies. Like it doesn't,
right,
yeah.
right,
So
right.
it's amazing. It's amazing that like it's amazing that actors have that kind of power and agency now, and also that the networks are all about it. Like I remember doing independent films when that was like super, like, so I was doing a lot of them, and there was always a sense of like, I need to make sure that we hire actors that like stay in their lane. Like I don't want to hear any, especially young filmmakers, like guys in their early 30s or whatever. It was like, I don't want to hear it. Like
Right,
I don't,
right.
I want an actor to be an actor, and That way they're not tapping in my own insecurities about whatever, because
Right.
it's the first feature. And, it's like, and now it's so amazing that, like, Abby and Alana can be like, oh, fuck you, UCB, and then Broad City happens.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I love that shit. Yeah.
I love you, but I lied. That went for a while.
Yeah. That was my insurance. That was health insurance. Yep.
I was gonna ask you, like, what would that experience like to have that show for the extended time that you did?
I had a really, really pretty office. It was nice health insurance. I enjoyed it. Okay. Sometimes it's funny. I said this to a producer recently, and probably one of my, like, my simmering moments of simmer. It was like, I've always been like the scrappy person you hire, like,
Right.
oh, do the pilot presentation of Odd Mom Out or whatever, but then the show goes to Cindy Tolan or whatever. And it's like, but she's got the easy job because she gets to cast Odd Mom Out. I get to cast the pilot presentation that gets the show picked up, where I'm paying actors $100 for a full day on set. So of course you're not going to get the actors that you want.
Right.
Like So with I Love You But I Lied, it was super challenging because actors were not getting paid all that well because they finagled a fakakta SAG after contract, and it was like a lot of improv. So like their job, they were basically writing the script as well. And every single episode was 2 stories, and none of the characters ever recurred. So I was casting 2 sets of series regulars, guest stars, and co-stars, 2 completely different casts for each episode that never came back. So my job was psycho.
Wow.
Yeah, and like, look, I mean, the procedural casting directors are probably like, fuck you, Goldstein, like, we got it way worse. You probably do. But that was really, really, really hard. So, yeah, I'm about to start work on a much bigger budget than I'm used to rom-com for a very big streaming network, and I'm fucking psyched because it's about time. I'm very excited, and the script was amazing. That was scrappy and hard, you know? And so much improv. Even when I did Donnie for USA, that was like improv, and like that. And that brings me back to my protective thing with actors, where like some actors are like, no, improv's great, honey.
Right.
I love it, but still, I'm like, oh my God, because it must be hard.
Right. But I think it comes to a point, you get to a point where you start realizing that the creativity is the product that you have to sell, that you want to be compensated for. So you can love a whole lot of things. You can love improv, you can love drama, music, whatever it is. Keep in mind that that is the product that you're trying to sell so that you can make a living. At the end of the day, it's like, don't take this wrong, I want to be on television. But if I'm on television, I want to be able to reap the financial benefits and the financial gain from being on television, not just being on television.
Right. Yeah. Once I was doing a show where I actually met with like the kind of the second in command in terms of the in-house casting at the network. Like, so he was like, there was a top guy and the guy right under him. And I went out to LA and I had a meeting with him and whatever. We sat down, we were talking, and he was like, I don't know how you offered those people that money. I would never want to do that. That's terrible. And I was like, oh my God, motherfucker, it's your show. Like, I didn't say that. I was like, oh, what? But like, it was crazy. I'm like, he's like, we're not gossiping about another show. We're talking about the show where I was, okay, you understand what I'm saying, right? That was mind blowing.
Right. It's getting crazier and crazier as the years go by. It's just something. Have you ever had a actor that you're like, I don't think I'll call them back for anything?
Oh my God, once for I Love You But I Lied, this woman came in, and I was actually impressed, frankly. She came in for an audition at 10:30 a.m. and the smell of alcohol coming out of her pores was like, and I remember first thinking like, cool, like how how do you, like, what time did you have to wake up to smell like that? I'm actually impressed. Like, but I didn't call her back because she kind of picked up a chair during the thing as if she was going to throw it. And I was just like, okay. And yeah. Yeah, like there have definitely been a few times, but it usually, I mean, certainly there have been like auditions that haven't been awesome, but like, oh my God, this one time, can I tell you another awesome, like, cult classic story? I don't remember who this actor was, but this was awesome. Okay. So this was back in the day when, I mean, this was really early days where, like, it's not like if we could get the director in the room for, like, you know, kind of a lower budget independent film, we weren't necessarily like putting everything on tape, or like they were taping, I think, on their cameras, but they were also in the room. And so I was at Shetler Studios or something. We were definitely, I don't know why it matters what room I'm in. Whatever it was kind of like a dance studio, weirdly. Anyway, there's this scene. I learned a fun fact because some people told me after this that, like, there are many people that take their clothes off when they poop, which I've now taken a poll, and I think it's more men than women. Like, I don't think that women fully disrobe when they take a shit, but apparently a lot of men do. I don't know why. And when I've asked men why they take their clothes off when they poop, they really can't answer, but they like it, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
Anyway, this guy, there was a scene where a guy is sitting on a toilet and he's on a phone and talking to, like, his boss, who's, you know, the bad guy in the film. And he's just, you know, taking a shit and talking on the phone and whatever, gross. But anyway, this guy takes off all of his clothes. And by the way, the script is not that, it's just he could have sat in a chair, fully clothed, and remind his, oh, what the fuck? The guy takes off all of his clothes besides his boxers. He leaves those on, slides down the wall. So he's now in a deep squat, but his boxers were probably as old as I was, and they kind of shifted. And his old middle-aged testicles kind of dusted the floor. And I was like, this is the best day of my goddamn life. Yeah, like that was amazing. Yeah. But I'm sure I called him then after that because that was, yeah.
Yeah, the image I got is crazy.
It was great.
Absolutely nuts. Oh,
I don't even think he was aware that his balls, I was like, balls are supposed to be sensitive, right? Like, wouldn't he feel that they're, like, almost grazing the floor, or that they're, like, getting wind on them? But maybe not. Maybe some balls are not sensitive. Or maybe he was like, good, fresh air, which is why men take their clothes off when they take a shit. There it is.
Look,
okay.
Listen, I told everybody before we started, this is not for the faint heart.
No.
Right? You don't know what's going to happen. That's crazy. But actors can be some of the weirdest folks. You know, creative people are weird.
Creative people are weird. Yeah, but I love it. I'm there for it. Yeah. As long as you don't throw a chair at somebody, I'm pretty much down with anything. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, no, I did. There are very few it's, you know, I feel like, you know how, like, that, like, the more woo-woo way of looking at it is like it's like you kind of attract what you believe in, right? Like, right. And I feel like I have always loved actors. So when I have conversations with people, some are actors, and I have conversations with them like, oh, actors. And I'm like, oh, right. No, I know that's a story people tell, but my experience has generally been an excellent one. So I feel like I just keep attracting good people to me like yourself, and that makes life much easier.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So listen, I want to move on to, I have 5 questions that I ask everyone who I bring on to live, and you can feel free to answer them however you want. Take your time. Don't have to be rushed. But my first question is, what is it that you know about the industry now that you thought you knew coming in? Like, you thought you knew it was one way going in, but you realize, no, it's completely different now.
Huh. I don't know. I have to really think about that one. Like, what I'm trying to think. Maybe because I fried my brain with drugs in the '90s. I have no idea. Like, I'm trying to think, like, what did I think? Where I'm just like, oh my God, I thought a thing, and then I don't know. I mean, maybe there was a part of me that felt, I mean, kind of going back to what we were saying, like, I'm like loving these comments. Thank you guys. I don't know. I feel like maybe there was a part of me that thought if you got something that was a really, really, really big budget, that it would be less fucked up. But no, I don't think so. Um, yeah. So I don't know, but I'll put that in the back of my mind, and maybe I'll have some kind of memory or revelation or something. Not sure. I don't know. What about for you?
You know
What is the thing that you thought that like that?
what I thought?
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
that because when I was younger, it was like I felt like the artist community was really small. So I thought that everybody actually liked each other and were friends coming in. And I didn't realize that your friend can very easily become your competitor overnight. That this is an industry that we're in, and I'm not saying just ours. I'm sure there are others where working more than somebody else could actually cause conflict.
Huh.
Yeah, like
That I did not expect you to say that.
yeah.
Because it's interesting. I'll tell you okay, back in the day when we were in like rooms and shit,
Mm-hmm.
what I noticed over the years, it's been fun watching my own age group, like women. I'm now 48, like women in their now late 40s or early 50s,
Mm-hmm.
watching them like grow up with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that once everyone turned like 38, 39, there was this thing of like, oh, I don't see so and so here. Did you remember to call her?
Mm-hmm.
No? Let me call her. And I'm like, oh my God, that's for your role. And it's like, there's enough for all of us.
Right,
And
right.
so, yeah, like I feel like once all the women got close to 40, everyone was like, we're all best friends. There's enough to go around. If she's not here, she should be, because that like, so you're not experiencing that as you get older?
No, no.
Fuck.
I think for me, I feel like, and as an actor of color, I think that there is a kind of an energy of I want to get like this. Oh, there's like this small door that I got to fit through, and I feel like everybody's trying to race each other to the finish line.
Right.
Which is why I started the Phil John's VIP, because I realized that I was getting caught up in the rat race of it all. But in my heart, I intentionally love to celebrate people, right? So just because everyone else is competing against one another doesn't mean I have to. So I'm okay and confident within myself to celebrate other people and say that I applaud you and I thank you and that you are great, and it takes nothing away from me.
Right. Right. Right.
So that's what made me start it, because it's like, someone could be your friend one minute and all of a sudden you turn around, you know you're in competition. It's like, when I didn't sign up to compete, you know and like I
Huh.
said, only because someone could start working, they book one show more than you did, or they're up for a series regular role, or you see a deadline article drop and it's not you, and you do battle with it. The industry is so competitive that it requires you to look inward and check yourself so that you're not operating in the space of jealousy, but in the space of celebrating other people genuinely. I was always brought up to say, if you can't be genuine, whether it's saying I'm sorry or whether it's being happy for somebody, don't say anything at all.
I love that. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and also like, it's so good to be in that mindset, because it is, I can understand how like when people like all of a sudden skyrocket, or like a big break happens or whatever, that they might even go a little bit more guarded, because then all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
like, does somebody want something from me, or to have me introduce them to 3 Arts, who's now my manager, or whatever. Like, I can understand that. But then there's also the thing of like, if I truly can fully celebrate this person's success, like there's also a world where they can bring me into whatever they're collaborating on.
Right.
And so, yeah, you don't want to be opportunistic about it, but this is a business of relationships. So yeah, if you're in a place of like, fuck you, jealousy, that's not going to get
It's
anybody anywhere, unless
and
it drives you to like work harder. That's great, but it's still shitty. Yeah.
I always tell actors, if you're not careful, it's an easy rabbit hole to fall down into. So just always do it. Check in with yourself to make sure that you're okay.
Totally. Yeah, and I will say, like, I mean, especially once, like, you've been in the business for a while, I do feel like the actors that work all the time are like, what about so and so? What about so and so? What about
Yeah,
so and so?
yeah,
Whether it's like in direct competition or just other people they want to bring in. I mean, there's two women that go to this bar a lot in this film that I'm about to cast for this fucking awesome script that's so, that's just so funny. And basically, I like, we were talking about one actor playing one of the roles, and I was like, who does she want to be the other friend?
right.
Because especially because, like, these are kind of Second City people that wrote the script, and they are Second City people. I was like, let's talk about a world where, like, she could actually bring in her own girlfriend and let's go to town, like,
Right, right,
so
right.
yeah, so yeah, it's, I guess, really about supporting each other. And you're right, that must sting when somebody books a series regular or
Yeah,
something, but
yeah.
yeah.
It's okay. I mean, it's natural, but just check in with yourself. That's all I have
Yeah.
to say. So, what advice would you give your 19-year-old self?
Oh, you don't need to give all those blowjobs, Brette Goldstein. Stop blowing these boys. Like, the amount of dicks I sucked. I don't know why the thought of that.
Brett, Brett, I'm done.
That's really what I would
Okay.
say. I would just say, like,
All
quit
right.
it. Like, yeah, I don't,
Right.
oy vey.
What would you want your legacy to be?
Not dick sucking. Like, I mean, oh God. My poor husband too, because I'm just like, well, I did enough of that, so thanks for this. But yeah, that won't be happening anymore. What legacy?
Everybody's like, I'm done. I'm dead. Forget it. Yeah, I'm like, I'm ready to like,
Oh, there was one particular dick too, where I just loved him for far too long. That was, oh God, sweaty balls. Okay, so, okay, wait, the question, the legacy, right?
yeah. What would you want?
Okay, I, okay. I am in casting because I love actors. I don't really actually give that much of a shit about, like, the actual projects themselves. Like, I am not like, and this isn't, like, no offense to anybody. I am not somebody that walks around going like, I'm a storyteller. Like, no, I'm a casting director that loves actors, and I want to be remembered for, and frankly, I'm far more proud of my work as a coach and a teacher than a casting director. I want to be celebrated as someone that really loves actors and cares about actors and is a champion and a good fighter for good people, good artists. Not even if I was like, I'm like the one casting director that couldn't give a fuck about the Oscars and never have. My favorite show, well, my recent favorite show, because no one's seen it, like, and I'm such a bromance, like an unapologetic romance comedy girl, is Champagne Ill. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh,
Campaign Ill. Is it on Netflix?
it's on Hulu, and it's Adam Pally and Sam Richardson being fucking geniuses, and it's so funny. And like, and I've seen it like 20 million times, like, on a loop, and like, I love Everyone Is Doing Great, like a whole bunch of these, like, comedies that no one has seen. And so, and yes, if I had one of those, like, I feel like if I had moved to LA, I would have, like, gotten into the bromance comedy thing,
Right,
but
right,
like, that
right,
didn't happen. Whatever, I was being an artist in New York. Ugh. But
right.
like, I don't know. Yeah, I want to. That's what I want to be remembered for. I want people at my funeral to be like, she was fucking great in that regard. Yeah, not that, like, I made some, like, I don't care.
Right, 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 right. I'm more of I'm more nostalgic. So for me, I'm in love with Cobra Kai right now from the Karate Kid movies.
That's a
And
good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
makes me thinking about going back and trying to take karate again at this age. That
Oh
was,
my God, Phil John, totally fucking go back and take karate
right,
again.
right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, with Cobra Kai, man, I'm loving what they're doing, and I think that is a reboot that actually got the formula right because it give us old heads exactly what we need. It give us that nostalgia, but yet you're bringing a new group of young people on board and introducing them to the Karate Kid, and they have
Yeah,
their own following. So it's like guys my age and younger kids can actually watch it together and really enjoy it. So shout out to Ralph Macchio because he did a great job.
absolutely.
So my last two questions, I've kind of put them together. What brings you joy, and what are you grateful for?
Beautiful. Mm, well, in terms of, okay, right now, I really, really, like at this moment, I am very grateful because I'm actually really living my actual childhood, and I'm living my dreams, which is that, like, at the moment, I would say, probably coaching 2 to 4 people a day, most of whom are actors. So I get to truly be a catalyst for change in people's lives, even if it's just getting their self-tape for a guest star audition on point. So that is like, that's my purpose, my mission, why I'm here, is to help people reach the next level in whatever it is in their lives.
Yeah.
I'm also casting a really funny thing, which is great, and that brings me joy, is casting that film. And I'll be more excited when I'm out of the list making phase, because I don't give a like, okay, I'm into like actors that where I get to go through the audition process with them and then root for them and fight for them and whatever. Like, I don't need to deal with stars so much. So once I get past that, and I'll be really grateful for that, even more so than like the work I'm doing now, which is still in the name phase. I also, so I'm coaching, I'm teaching, I'm casting. I'm grateful for wonderful people in my life, family and friends, and my husband and my sister. And also right now I am Jewing it up in Florida. That's
Nice,
why I look like this. I don't
nice,
really believe in sunblock. There it is. It's
nice,
1983 up in here.
nice.
So I am grateful that, like, I mean, like, I am grateful for the sun. Like, I didn't leave my apartment for 2 years because I have an autoimmune disease. That's a whole other thing. And and my apartment gets no natural light in New York. And I'm grateful that I have that place, but I wanted to be in the sun. And I'm seriously, I'm like living on the beach, helping people grow in their lives. I'm living the dream. This is it. And I am so grateful. And I write in my journal every morning that I am so grateful that I'm able to do this at the age of 48. That's fucking awesome.
Amen. Awesome. Definitely, definitely. Thank you,
Thank
Brett,
you.
for joining me. This has been a wonderful ride. Thank you. It's been a joy. I'm grateful for you, and appreciate all that you do and all that you're going to continue to do
Thank you.
in the
Thank you.
future. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been fun. It's like I know we can keep going on, but I don't want the IG gods to cut me off.
It has been so good to see your beautiful face, and this was so wonderful, and it's so great to reconnect with you. You are fabulous, fabulous, wonderful, amazing. Thank you,
Thank you.
Philtron. This was great.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your sun.
Thank you. Thank you. I
All
will. I'm
right.
going to go back outside.
Enjoy. We'll be in touch.
All right, great. Thank you.